Okay, keeping with my graphics, and I want to teach you more about web graphics and things like that. Today we're going to talk about backgrounds to website and how to program backgrounds to website and how to create some of the graphics in the different file formats. The first one I want to kind of look at, let's look at some samples. If you look at just this Firefox page right here, you'll notice that you'll see a little gradient in the background. It kind of goes from this darker blue-gray to sort of a lighter gray here. How can you do that? Now, I'm not going to talk about quite CSS3 yet and HTML5. You can do gradients with that, and I will talk about that when we get to more of the complex programming graphics. But for right now, I'm still talking about basic CSS and just some basic graphics. And so, how can you do these with a combination of Photoshop and HTML? That's a sample there. Let's see. I have another sample here. No, not that one. Not my page. I have a nice sample here. The Yahoo Travel. You'll see there's like a little clouds in the background here, and it kind of moves. I'm going to teach you how to make a fixed one that actually keeps the graphic in the same spot no matter how far you scroll. It'll keep the same. Oh, I've been to Cartagena. So again, kind of scrolling like that so you could see the graphic back here. So we're talking a little bit about what makes a web page graphic right there. Mostly I do these things in Photoshop. You can do them in the GIMP application the same kind of way. If I could find the GIMP here, let me get that open. They both pretty much do the same thing as far as how to save and how to make graphics. They do them a little bit differently. So if you can figure out how to do it in one, you can figure out how to do it in the other one. I'm sure of that. Oh, now I've crashed my computer. So let's start with just Photoshop then while that starts loading here. The first one I want to show, and I'm going to use Dreamweaver a little bit for the programming here so that we could see, would be something like this, which is basically you could see some graphics along the edge of a page right here. I know it's green and kind of ugly, but if we look at it in Firefox, it's basically the edge of a web page. It kind of stays fixed over there on the side. We could do this really easily inside of Photoshop, and in this case, we don't make a big graphic like this. What you do is you take advantage of the CSS and the HTML, and you make a real skinny graphic, a small skinny graphic, and then you tell the browser to repeat it down the page. So I'm just going to quickly make that in Photoshop here. You can see the sample right here. You really can't see it because it's really tiny right there. You don't see it, but I make it really small. It's only about 1 pixel high by about 100 pixels wide. And I know we really haven't talked about sizes and doing things yet, but everything we design for a computer screen, we're going to design in pixels mostly. And so I know we might be used to inches if we're using desktop publishing applications like Illustrator or InDesign and things like that. You talk about inches because you're publishing things, but since we're talking about screen design and designing things for the screen, we tend to design everything in pixels. So in this case, to make that kind of background that you see there, I'm just going to start with a new file in Photoshop by going under File, New. Again, it's going to be like 100. I'm going to make it 100 pixels. Pixels here is the measuring I'm using by only 1 pixel high. Why only 1 pixel high? Well, you're just making a long, skinny graphic, and then the browser and the CSS will repeat it down the page. So I'm just going to go 100 by 1 here, and I'm just going to hit OK, and it makes a small. You could see it, just a small graphic here. And so it's kind of long and small. And so what I'm going to do is, after I do that, I'm just going to put some rectangles on there by using the rectangle tool. It's just a shape tool. It's called the rectangle tool inside of Photoshop. And I'm just going to randomly generate some are big, some are small, some are skinny, some are wide, some are short, some are wider, and then some are long. So as you make the shape here with this program, what it does is it makes in the layers window a different graphic for each layer. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go change the color of each of the rectangles here by doing that. So to do that, I'm just going to click over here in the layers window. If you don't see layers or any of the windows I'm working on in this program, they're all under window here, layers. So then I can go and just change the color. So if I want to change a color, I could double click on the graphic and change the color. I can double click on the just the color swatch that's in the layer window. And I'm just going to use different shades of color here. And I'm going to double click on there and use some dark ones and some light ones so that you could see some contrast here. Maybe a little bit different color there. Again, it's just, oh, I don't want that. I wanted to, it's not going to let me because it's too small. Oh, let's move on to this one. And there we go. Actually, let's change that a little bit more. There we go, back to a brighter color. And then this one will make a little bit darker. Okay, so again, I just made a long, skinny graphic. That's only 1 pixel high by 100 pixels wide. I put some rectangles on there, and I changes the color of the rectangles. Now, the two formats that I really want to talk about today would be, of course, the two most common ones you find on the internet. Those are called GIF and JPEG. Now, really, the rule of thumb is if I'm making graphics like that, sometimes I usually save them as a GIF, but if I'm making photographs, I usually save them as JPEG. But it just depends. I mean, some graphics might be better in JPEG and some might be better in GIF. It doesn't, it really matters because, you can have the Photoshop actually calculate how big it is so that you can make a decision. What I mean by big is how many megabytes or kilobytes it's going to take up so that it downloads fast, and you want it to be able to download fast, especially if it's a background. So if I go underneath the file, save for web over here in Photoshop, underneath there is where you can change the different formats. Right now it says JPEG right now, and if I choose JPEG, it says this graphic's going to be 434 bytes. Let's see if I change it to a GIF. Over here it's going to say 84 bytes. So 438 compared to 84. 84 is a lot smaller, so I'm going to go with that one. Okay, so again, in the program you can actually determine that under the Save for Web option. Once I have it saved for web, I'm going to hit the Save button right here, and I'm just going to give it a name, and I'm going to call it, how about we call it Yellow Back 1. Again, I'm saving as a GIF format, so I leave the extension. I'm just putting it in any folder. I have a folder called Web Graphics on my desktop, so I'm just putting it in there, and I'm just going to save it. If you want to see the programming, I'm going to jump over to Dreamweaver, and you can do the programming inside of HTML if you want to. We can actually hand code it. Let me demonstrate how to do it in Dreamweaver first, and then we'll look at the code and dissect it. So in Dreamweaver, I'm just going to start with a new HTML page by going under File, New. Inside there, you'll notice there is a blank HTML page right there, and I'm just going to hit OK. Now this is not HTML5, this is just a standard XHTML file. Once I do that, I'm going to save my file first. The reason why I'm going to save it is so that when you link up the graphics and things, it knows the path. And I'll try and make another video this weekend about the path structure of where things are saved and how they are programmed. And in this case, since I'm just going to save it in the same folder, sorry about the phone. Again, I'm going to program the background here. The easiest way is if we look at the code, you'll notice this is a straight HTML kind of code here, and it's the normal XHTML. Everything that you see on the screen needs to be in the body section. So what we're going to do is we're going to add some CSS to the body section of this HTML code that we have. So I'm going to add the code to the body section of the website right here. So in this case, you could do it either through using the tools inside of Dreamweaver or hand coding. So I'm going to use the tools in Dreamweaver. The window that I use primarily to change the CSS is the CSS styles window here. So if I go to the CSS styles window here, I can then change it. And if you don't see any of the windows inside of Dreamweaver, they're all underneath the window option, and I'm using the one called CSS styles here. In the CSS styles window, I want to change the body tag to have the color that I just made in Photoshop. To do that, I'm going to click on the new button. It's like a little plus at the bottom of the CSS window here. If I click on that, it's going to open up the CSS rules window. Now in the CSS rules window, there's 4 of them that you can make here inside of Dreamweaver. The one I'm going to make is I'm going to redefine an existing HTML element, which of course is the body tag. So all the examples I do today will be just adjusting the body tag. So I'm going to go to where it says tag right here, and it should say body here because it's recognizing that my cursor is next to the body tag right there. And so then I'm going to hit OK. Now in this case, this is the window that pops up. This is the standard CSS rules window inside of Photoshop, or inside of Dreamweaver, I'm sorry. And under the background here is where I can choose the background, and I'm going to choose a background image right here. And if I hit browse right here, it'll take me to the path of the structure to the actual file that I'm looking for. So if I hit browse right here, I'm looking for the sample. I think I called it yellow back. There it is, yellow back right there. And I'm going to find it and hit OK. Oh, I guess I failed to save it. Yeah, that was the mistake I made earlier. So let me hit no right now. Let me hit cancel. That was the problem I had before, was I failed to save it because the phone rang. Let me give it a name here first. I'm going to save it first. And then now I'm going to go back to the CSS window. I'm sorry. And I'm going to hit on style. And I'm going to this time hit the plus button again. We're going to go down to where it says tag. Make sure it says body in there. I'm going to hit OK. And then I'm going to choose again. Under background here, I'm going to choose the background image, and then I'm going to hit browse, and it'll choose my path. Again, it's called yellow back is what I made, and I'm going to hit OK. And then if you see in this option, there's one that says background repeat. If I don't change that and I just hit apply right now, let's see what it looks like. And I'm going to go to the design view inside of Dreamweaver so I can see what it looks like. So what it does is it takes that background and puts it all the way across the whole page. Okay, but I really want it just to go down the edge of the page. And the reason why is I just want to have like a little color down the edge. And you can use this to design something that goes across the top of the page. I mean, even if you look at the Raskoff page, my Raskoff page here, you'll see there's a little red and black bar. It's the same exact concept I'm doing now, and it just repeats across the top of the page right there. So for this, I don't want it to repeat all the way across the page like that, so I'm going to go and adjust this again inside of Dreamweaver to make an adjustment to something you've already done in CSS. Is you can use the CSS styles window right here, and there's one that says body right there. To adjust that body tag, I can hit the pencil that is right here. There's a pencil right there. That little pencil then will take you back to where we were. This time we want a background repeat. You could say no repeat, which will make just a little graphic. You won't be able to see it because it'll be way up in the corner. Repeat will make it repeat in all the directions. Or you could say repeat X, and if I hit apply, you'll show it repeats across the top. And of course I can barely see it because it's only 1 pixel high. But if I say repeat Y, which will repeat down the page, you'll see I can get nice colors along the edge of my page. So that's a great way of dealing with backgrounds and making nice looking backgrounds, is by doing that. The other thing is, you'll notice there is in this version of Dreamweaver, not in the Dreamweaver 5 or below, but in this version, Dreamweaver 6, there is a background position which allows you to adjust the background, because right now it's all the way jammed to the edge here. If you wanted to shift it a little bit, you can, I'm going to just shift it over just so you can see like 50 pixels. If I say 50 there and hit apply, you'll notice it just moves over, so it repeats down the page, not quite on the edge. So there's ways to position or adjust that. I'm just going to delete that because I really wanted it down the side. So I'm going to hit OK right now. So that is a nice sort of sample right there, and I'm going to pause this movie right now and start a new one.